edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. Of course, today is the December 7th, 2025 edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. And if you've been following me, you know that I've been struggling with here with a cold. And so just trying to make it through so we can keep these broadcasts going because I'm committed to not missing a day. So drinking lots of water here. So I'm going to take, drinks throughout our broadcast here. And from time to time, you hear me clear my throat too. But what I do is I give you historic facts that involve African American baseball players that have taken place throughout history. And it will be on today, the December 7th date. And then I give you commentary based on maybe me visiting that city, maybe me knowing that player or a family member, or just something that I know that maybe you won't be able to get just by doing just a Google search or even an AI search, something that maybe you don't know. Okay, so we're going to jump in here and immediately start talking about what happened on the stage. So I want to thank everybody for joining, and I want to thank everybody for all the support. Been having some great statements made about this broadcast here, and I certainly respect and appreciate that. And I hope that you, like myself, we're always learning a lot here. Somebody sent me a note about a basketball player who played for the New York Black Yankees, and I hadn't run across him yet. So I'm going to be checking for him, especially as we roll now out of football season and into basketball season. So we have a lot of multi-talented black baseball players who are also playing other sports. So basketball primarily. We just finished with a lot of people playing football. My goodness. And when I was growing up, of course, we heard about a few people. And of course, most modern fans, they know about Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson, people like that. I remember I interviewed him when he was playing with Seattle. Phil Bradley, he had been a quarterback in Missouri. He was playing for Seattle. Most people know about these modern guys, but not the old timers. And these are the people who actually laid these foundations generations before. And these were men who played the game well, but never got the national recognition from the world. And of course, in black media, they would get recognition, but everybody wasn't reading black media. I put it like this: the number of people who read, say, like the New York Age compared to the number of people who were reading, say, like the Brooklyn Daily Eagle, it was no comparison. So a lot of times people didn't know about these guys and their achievements. So I will also say, if you join me tonight, guys, always put in the city where you're from. I always like to do that because that way I can respond. And I see somebody here. Maybe we're going to wait for a few people, but I've got somebody here saying hello from Cincinnati, Ohio. Man, that's home of Charlie Grant. Charlie Grant, the one John McGraw tried to sneak in, is Charlie Tokuhama. Good second baseman around the turn of the century. Now, I could make a legitimate argument that he should be in Cooperstown. Not for the John McGraw deal, but for just his sheer ability. This guy was a superb fielder. Of course, I saw somebody said hello from Denver, Colorado. I've been out there many times in that 5 Point area. 5 Points district was the traditional African American community, and I presented at the library there and know a lot about it. I'm thinking about a player named Pistol Pete Albright that was from Denver and did quite a bit. Somebody says Bo Jackson was amazing. Bo Jackson is a personal friend of mine. When I worked for the Kansas City Royals as assistant director of PR, it was during the Bo Jackson era. So I got a chance to know Bo very well. Somebody says St. Paul, Minnesota. Oh, yeah, St. Paul. Let's see, Bobby Marshall. Bobby Marshall stands out as one of the names that you should know. If you're around the St. Paul area, look up Bobby Marshall. Played football for the University of Minnesota, but he was also a professional baseball player with the St. Paul Gophers. That's a good one. Somebody said they're from California. Oh, man, I've been talking about California Winter League all month long. We'll continue into this probably April when we hit the start of the season. And then see what we got here. Somebody from Detroit. Oh man, lots of good ball players from Detroit. I'm trying to think. Of course, Turkey Stearns passed away in Detroit, originally out of Montgomery, Alabama. And Turkey Stearns was a guy says, they asked him, said, how many home runs you think you hit? And this guy hit a lot of home runs. Turkey said, I only count them when they win baseball games. So he didn't count them all unless they won the game. He was a real gamer. Somebody said they're looking from Greece. Wow, that's a long ways away. I don't have any baseball facts for Greece yet, but hey, I'm going to keep on looking. And somebody said, can you turn your cap to the side? I don't know. But this one, I'm going to tell you what. Generally, when I go out to speak, I have a lot of things custom made. So this hat right here is a custom made hat, and I go to Lids, and so Lids has a lot of flat bills, but I always want the curved bill. I have flat bill. I just don't like those as well. But I go to Lids, and I have them put a logo on. Sometimes they can't put like the name because it might be copyrighted or protected or something. But so this hat right here symbolizes the Kansas City Monarchs. And if you notice in the back there, has a Kansas City. So yeah, I get a lot of things custom made, uniforms and everything. And so, all right, somebody said, no gays in your fan base. Not, I'm not sure. Guess what? If you're a baseball fan, come on in. I don't care. Let's see. And okay, so let's go ahead and start with some of the facts here today. And we're going to start with a fact, December the 7th, 1929. We're going to go Vashon High School in St. Louis, Missouri, won the city high school football title by defeating Sumner by a 13-6 score, and in a battle that was waged on the public high school stadium field. 188-pound left guard Quincy Trouppe is a starter on the championship squad. Now, if you follow Negro League Baseball, you got to look up Quincy Trouppe. Quincy Trouppe was, he actually fought as an AAU boxer in the heavyweight division, and he was a football player, but he was a great baseball player. And I had the honor of interviewing Quincy and knowing Quincy on several occasions. Of course, he went to Vashon High School, and if you follow traditionally black communities, Vashon is predominantly black high school, and also actually probably all black. And then Sumner, when you hear the name Sumner, many times that's an all black school too. There was a Sumner in Kansas City, Kansas, where I come from. So they're playing Sumner High School. So these are two black high schools that are playing. And Vashon High School, you ever hear of Elston Howard? Elston Howard was a graduate of Vashon High School. I think I've talked about that before, but I'll talk about it again as facts come up related to a certain date. But Elston Howard played football at Vashon just like Quincy Trouppe did. So Quincy Trouppe, T-R-O-U-P-E is how they were spelling his name, but later on he changed it to T-R-O-U-P-P-E, and that was Quincy Trouppe. Fascinating guy, great storyteller, man, interesting to listen to when he talked. And so he has a book too. He has a book out there. I can't remember the name of the book. Somebody will remember that. Just go ahead and plug it in. And but I do have a signed copy by Quincy. So maybe I'll just bring that in and talk about it sometime. All right. So now we have December 7, 1948. Okay. With Negro League Baseball stars, among the starting five, Reese Goose Tatum at 6'8" and Nathaniel Sweetwater Clifton, I think he was 6'7". Both of those guys are in the lineup. And the Harlem Globetrotters defeated the Indiana Clark Twins at Tulsa's Fairground Pavilion. Tatum dropped 29 points before a crowd of 2,500. Hey, these guys played almost every night. They played almost every night. And I talked about this on yesterday's broadcast, using an example of a guy named Fast Jenkins, where they had 1934-35, he played with the New York Rens. They had actually won 122 games and lost 17 in the basketball season. But that was after he had played about 120 games with the New York Black Yankees in baseball and had played late in the year because they played against the Dizzy Dean All-Stars in the middle of October. So this was what they did. Some of these guys were logging 300 games a year. Just imagine that with the travel, with segregation and all these restrictions, they were making a living out of sport in a way that people just don't understand today. And sometimes the crowds weren't very large. There's 2,500 people that are playing in Tulsa. Tulsa, another great city. Been to Tulsa many times, and of course, people talk about the Tulsa race riot down there in what's it, 1921, and that's an interesting story. I saw that the last person who was there during the riot just passed away. It was a lady. She was 104 years old. So you can look all this stuff up and go from there. Now, if you're joining me, I know somebody will put in some strange things. We're just going to ignore them because I don't have time to delete them right now. Unless they get too crazy, then I'll get you out of here. But the main thing is, if you're joining me, go ahead and put in the city where you're joining me from. That's most important things, all right? So, okay, so let's go to the next one. December 7, 1942. Now, actually, I had a chance to see this guy. Alex Johnson is born in Helena, Arkansas, and he played in the Major League Baseball. I remember him with the Angels in 1964 to 1976 for the Phillies, Cardinals, Reds, Angels, Indians, Rangers, Yankees, Tigers. Man, well, I'm telling you, some of these guys really got around. So Alex Johnson, and he had a brother, Ron Johnson, who played for the New York Giants in professional football. So, but he was a great player, and I think it was 1968, and no, 1970. That's when it was. He won the batting title in the American League, and also won the Comeback Player of the Year. I think he had been in the Cardinal organization, and the Angels ended up picking him up. And Cardinals thought maybe he was done, but he ended up coming back and winning the batting title. That's a way to get back at your old boss, isn't it? All right then. Okay. Somebody said they're from Harneyville, wherever that is. Never heard of that. Put in your state. All right. Okay. And let's go. Let's go on to a few more. How about this? December the 7th, 1964. Tracy, let's see, Tracy Stoller. Let me fix this right here so I can see it good. I just need to make a little adjustment here. I've been keeping these facts in this spreadsheet for something. Oh man, it's probably going on 30 years. I started putting the spreadsheet together, so now just got a lot of things that I can talk to you about, and I don't have to spend all day looking for stuff. So anyway. Here we go. St. Louis Cardinals. They traded Johnny Lewis, the gunner. I don't know if you remember Johnny Lewis, the gunner, and Gordy Richardson to the New York Mets for Eliel Chacon and Tracy Stollard. Okay. Now, I remember 1967. Here, let me grab something right quick here. 1967. I still have a few of them sitting right here. How about this? My 1967 baseball cards. I just had a few. I was looking through them the other day. Just a few, 1967. But I remember Lewis was in that set. Yeah, he was in the first series. He card number 91. A member of the New York Mets at that particular time. And, most people don't remember Lewis. But I remember him because I collected his card that year, right? So anyway, he was card number 91. And he had a very short career. Played in 266 games. Had just 175 hits in a career that lasted 4 years. But because he was in this card set, and this was like my first serious card set that I started collecting in 1967. I think at that time I might have been in the fourth or fifth grade. Fifth grade, I think it was, when I started collecting this set. And so it's part of my childhood. So I remember all the guys that were in it, especially if you were in the first series, right? Because we have those. Somebody said, Tracy Stoller's best remembered for giving up number 61 to Maris. Hey, we got a baseball fan in here. That's a good one there. Hey, I have to remember that. I'm about to go and put that in my notes for takes time that comes around. All right. Thank you very much for that. And I will definitely look it up. All right, then. And then let's see. We got a few other things, transactions. December 7, 1973, the Red Sox purchased Hall of Fame pitcher Juan Marichal from the San Francisco Giants. I don't know if you remember Juan Marichal, just a great player. And how about this? Let's see. The December 7, 1995, the Cleveland Indians signed Hall of Fame infielder Eddie Murray as a free agent. I knew Eddie. Matter of fact, I have pictures of me and Eddie together. when he appeared in Kansas City. So I'm really proud of my scrapbook. Guys, you would love to see my scrapbook. Over 40 years of all the people that I've met and events that I've gone to related to baseball. And, the sad part is that I didn't have a camera with me all the time, so I missed a lot of pictures. It's just amazing. So, but I did get a few, and some of those pictures are some of my prized possessions, right? Okay, and we have one more. Toronto Blue Jays. Okay, this was 1995. Toronto Blue Jays signed Otis Nixon, former first-round pick of the New York Yankees, as a free agent. And if you remember, old Nixon stole 72 bases for the Atlanta Braves in 1991. And in July of 1991, he stole 6 bases in a single game. Now, guys, I know they enlarged the base last year. I guess that's going to help those guys who keep missing a stolen base by a foot or two. But guess this guy, just a speed demon, he didn't need a larger base. You just put whatever base out there. It could have been a smaller base. He still wouldn't steal it. So that's Otis Nixon. And how about this, guys? In 1982, in a combined minor league season for Columbus and Nashville, the guy swiped 107 bases in 131 games. Wow. So that's almost a stolen base per game average. So this guy was a legitimate stolen base leader. And over the years, I've had a chance. I think, I had a chance to meet Lou Brock and talk to him. Maury Wills. I know when I coached baseball, I used to always teach people how to do the walking lead that Maury Wills used to do. Every nowadays, almost every player, they jump out there and they stand there. But Maury Wills had a thing called the walking lead. And I used to teach players how to do the walking lead. So you just kind of casually walk, and before you know it, you're out there further than the pitcher thought you were. And you get that one extra step, and hey, you swipe the base, all right? Okay, let me see. I'm going to come down to my last thing. I'm going to do a little feature here on this last one. Let's see. Anybody else, if you come on in, just let me know. I'm always glad to get these baseball fans because they know a little bit, and man, I tell you what, you guys teach me as well, right? So we're all learning. And if you love baseball, guys, this is a good place to come. So you might want to subscribe if you enjoy what we're doing here. I'm new. I've been out here since August. I avoided coming on for years because I do a lot of in-person presentations. It just didn't have the time. Even though I had the information, I just didn't have the time to come on regular. So I started in August, coming on regular, and I still will be making these appearances. It's been a phenomenal year. I started off the year in New York, Albany, Schenectady, Gloversville, spoke at Cooperstown, and then I was over in California mid-year. I think I rounded out the year in Cleveland, but I spoke all over Kansas as well. And so haven't spoken much in Missouri. I've kind of avoided Missouri. Sometimes the politics in these states change so much, but I plan to go back to Missouri because, guys, the information I'm giving, it lets people know that we're all in this together. We're all in this together, and we make a great country when everybody participates and they bring their greatest talents to whatever we're involved in, whatever career, whatever endeavor, period. Okay. So, all right there. Okay. So let's go to, okay, we're going to go and finish up with my last one. And this is a ball player born December 7th, 1893. Now, just imagine this guy. You got a guy born in 1893, and I interviewed him. And his name was George Alexander Sweatt. Now, for some reason, most people haven't talked about Sweatt very much, but let me tell you about it. George Sweatt, he was born in Humboldt, Kansas. Now, I'm a member of the Kansas Humanities Council, so I go all over the state of Kansas. And so when I'm there, I'm looking at all the interesting history. I know he comes, the area there is Humboldt, Chanute, and Iola, Kansas are connected. They're kind of real close to each other. There's another place at Cherryville. You ever watched the Lucy Show? Remember Vivian Vance? Yeah, she was born in Kansas. Cherryville, I think that's what it's called. But I go through there. I should have the name down pat because I go through there all the time. But yeah, so there's lots of history around Kansas. Actually, if you watch Gunsmoke, I think the guy who played Doc was also from Kansas as well. Well, somebody we got a Gunsmoke fan in here, right? So yeah, he was also from Kansas, and so Kansas has some great history. So it's always a pleasure to go and talk in Kansas, right? So anyway, George Sweatt, born in Humboldt. Now George Sweatt, he ended up in Kansas because you could do this. They did have African Americans attending colleges, predominantly white colleges. So in 1911, around that period, he attended Emporia State College, Teachers College in Emporia, Kansas, where he played football, right? Then he went home, came back home, was a veteran in World War One. Then he went back to Pittsburgh State Teachers College, and he graduated from there. Now he played football, baseball. No, excuse me. He did not play baseball at any of those institutions, even though he ended up being a professional baseball player. But he did play basketball, football, and was a track and field athlete. So George Alexander Sweatt, I interviewed him in early 1982, I think it was, somewhere 82, 83. And I interviewed him right up to the time he died. And I have letters from him. And right now they have an exhibit that's going to be going for the next year in Pittsburgh, Kansas. And I am thinking about donating those letters I have from his wife and from George to that exhibit so they will be kept at the college long after I'm gone so people could see that this guy was somebody to be remembered. George Alexander Sweatt. Also, as a member of the Kansas City Monarchs, he appeared in the first two World Series. And that was the Negro National League against the Eastern Color League, 1924 and 1925. And then he was traded to the Chicago American Giants in what would be considered the most lopsided trade ever. They traded Alexander Sweatt, George Alexander Sweatt, for Cristobal Torriente. Now, Torriente in Cooperstown Hall of Fame, the great Cuban slugger. And but they were having problems after Rube Foster started to get sick, how to handle Torriente. So they figured, okay, we'll trade him to the Monarchs. And so the Monarchs traded Sweatt to Chicago. Chicago, in those 2 years that Sweatt was with the team, that'd be 26 and 27, they go to the World Series both years. So Sweatt ended up being one of only two players, the other one named Rube Curry, who appeared in those first four colored World Series. And I hate to say colored World Series, guys, because when we talk about the World Series between the National and American League, we don't say white World Series. So we'll just say the Negro National League versus the Eastern Colored League World Series, all right? So that is the history on George Sweatt, and I was really honored to have interviewed him and talked to him. And as far as I know, guys, I may be the only person alive who actually is involved with history, baseball history especially, who interviewed him. I know John Hallway did. I don't know if Jim Riley did, but I know John Hallway certainly did interview him because Sweatt mentioned that. And it was great to talk to him about some of his teammates and that whole thing. Just great memories that I have, guys. So that kind of does it for me tonight. The Chiefs are going to be playing a football game on national TV. And I've been a Chiefs fan from the very beginning when they came to Kansas City. Actually, the first football player I ever had the pleasure of meeting was Fred Williamson. I don't know if you remember Fred Williamson, the Hammer. And I met him probably, I was in the maybe fifth grade or something like that, fifth or sixth grade. I met Fred Williamson, and later on, my sister lived up the street from the Chiefs training camp, and I would go down there. And they worked out and they would jog to the lagoon. And as a kid in elementary school, I would jog with them. So I got a chance to see actually almost everybody who played for the Chiefs. And I remember a couple of times Nolan Smith giving me a ride home. Remember Nolan Smith, number one, went to Tennessee State? Yeah, he would give me a ride home because my sister stayed up the street. And her neighbor was a guy who also played for Tennessee State, so he would stop by and see him after he dropped me off. So yeah, so all those guys that played for the Chiefs back then, I knew them all. So I am a consummate Chiefs fan from the old days, and one of these days I'm gonna have to come on here and just do a Chiefs broadcast, a walk down memory lane, and tell you some things about the guys that I met over the years, and Jan Stenerode and Otis Taylor and Buck Buchanan. Oh man, I can go on and on and on. That was my team as a kid. I used to cry when they lost, especially when the Raiders beat them. So that was always a brutal day. So anyway, guys, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate that. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe, guys. We're trying to get to that 400 subscriber as quickly as we can. And I started in August, late August with these broadcasts. So we haven't got past 6 months yet. And it's moving along. And people are learning. And I'm learning. And we're having a good time. So again, this is Phil Dixon. I go by Phil S. Dixon. Hey, guys, if you're into baseball books, now, I haven't been able to figure out how to get my camera turned around. I'm working on a few things here. But this is one of my books, John Buck O'Neill, The Rookie, the Man, the Legacy, 1938. And actually, I did a revised edition of that, and I put QR codes in it. And so I changed the title of that. And this is now called John Buck O'Neill, The Rookie, His Words, His Voice, right? And these are all available. Here's my first book. From 1992, the Kansas City Baseball Trivia Quiz book. I had 2 books come out that year. Actually, one of them won the Casey Award for the best baseball book of the year. And so this one is a nice one here. This particular one is autographed here. You can kind of see it from people who were around at that time. Let's see, Ellie Rodriguez. You remember Ellie Rodriguez, the catch for the Royals? How about Dave Rickensham, remember him? He was a great pitcher. Connie Johnson, hey, Hall of Famer Tony Oliva signed it for me. Who else I have in here? I probably got a few more. How about Phil Roof? Remember Phil Roof? Let's see, who here? I'll give you one more. I'm trying to think who you might know. Some of these are hard to read too, so. Tom Hall. I don't know if you remember Tom Hall. He pitched for the Royals. So I have lots of books like that signed. And this book came out right before the pandemic. The Dizzy and Daffy Dean Baseball Barnstorming Tour, Race Media, and America's National Pastime. This book was a sleeper because it came out August of 2019. And we had big plans to promote this book in 2020, and you know what happened in 2020, the whole world shut down. So a lot of people still haven't found this book yet, but people, when they find it, they say, man, that's a good book. And this book is easy to read, but it's got some amazing stories on Dizzy, and then also amazing stories on the teams he played from the Negro National League. And of course, I talk about Wilbur Bullet Rogan quite a bit. So here's another book I've written called Wilbur Bullet Rogan and the Kansas City Monarchs. How much do you know about the Kansas City Monarchs? You want to know a lot? You pick up this book. So anyway, guys, that does it for me. I used to try to keep my broadcast down to 20 minutes. Now I'm almost at 30 minutes. So I'm going to end out of here. So thank you for joining. Does anybody want to say where you're from? I will go out. And there are a lot of questions in here. I'm going to have to go through these. So let's see, somebody saying, now let's go Chiefs. Yeah, it's going to be a rough season here. I think they might just be a mediocre team this year, but there's always next year, right? All right. As a Chiefs fan, we're always looking for next year. So, all right. So, okay. Well, guys, that does it for me. I thank you for joining, and I will be back again. And, guys, thank you all for spending some time with me this evening. If you just spent a minute, or if you spent the whole broadcast, or how about it, if you're catching the broadcast, afterwards, not the live, but the what do you call it, retransmission, or what you want to call it. I appreciate you guys, and thank you, because the reason I do this is not for me. It's to bring recognition to the players, but I need to talk to someone, and you are the people I'm talking to. So thank you guys. I'm out of here for tonight. I'm going to go. I'm gonna go watch some football. I've been watching football all weekend, so I'm gonna go watch some NFL football right now. All right, thank you guys, and I will see you real soon. And this has been the December 7th, 2025 edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. Have a nice evening. Bye.